down a protester. A security operative was on Monday captured gunning down a protester in Azare Katagum local government area of Bauchi State. In a video cited by Daily Trust, the young man was seen lying on the ground as 2 or 3 persons hit him repeatedly. Shortly after, his killer, who was standing beside a white Toyota Hilux van belonging to the security operatives, moved closer. After hitting him twice, the officer pointed his rifle directly at the victim and immediately pulled the trigger. The crowd at the scene yelled as the policeman walked away without looking back. Daily Trust fact check team ran independent checks on the video and confirmed that it was not doctored. Checks also showed that the incident happened in front of the Katagum local government secretariat, where policemen and some protesters using Russian flag clashed. A resident of that particular area, who didn't want his name in print, said that the deceased was one of the hoodlums arrested by the police, but this newspaper could not independently verify this claim at the time of filing this report. Well, we get some voices in the news just to get a bit of perspective as to what exactly is happening in the country at the moment. Yesterday, the protest in Kaduna State took a different turn. We saw hoodlums looting government and private buildings around the NEPA roundabout in Kaduna as they were seen waving the Russian flag. Let's take a listen. They were seen running around with different properties of government around the NEPA roundabout in Kaduna State. They were waving the Russian flag. That was until the security operatives came and pursued them from the scene. Still in this situation, the CDS has 1 protesters flying the Russian flag. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
Such that we wanted to come and update Mr. President about the situation on ground. We know since the riots have started, the role all the security agencies are playing. You can see all of us together. We had about 2 hours meeting with Mr. President. We explained to him in details the current situation on ground since the riots have started. And what we realized is that, yes, initially people said it was a peaceful riot, but we have warned against it because we realized that there are individuals that are willing to take advantage of it to cause mayhem, and we can see clearly what has happened since it has commenced. Criminals have taken over, a lot of looting, a lot of stealing and all sorts happening. And besides that, we're also aware that I'm seeing, all of us have seen it, where some foreign flags have been flown within the sovereignty of Nigeria, and that is totally unacceptable. We are warning in clear terms, and the President has also said we should convey this, that we will not accept anybody, any individual flying any foreign flag in Nigeria. That is treasonable offense, and it will be viewed and treated as such. So nobody should allow himself to be used by any individual. Also, the issue of coups. Nigeria is a sovereign nation. Nigeria is a democratic nation. All security agencies are here to defend democracy and make sure that democracy continues to strive. We will not accept anyone pushing or taking any action, seemingly or for whatever reason, to want to push for any change of government. Democracy is what we stand for. Democracy is what we continue to defend. For those of them flying flags, if you see a lot of them are kids being pushed to do that. We're following up with those ones that are sponsoring them, those that are pushing them, because the flags were also made. We identified those areas and we're going to take serious action against that. The President is clear on his instructions for us not to accept anyone that wants to disrupt the peace and tranquility of Nigeria. And we are all standing here together to show Nigerians that we're working closely, we're working together in synergy to ensure that there's peace and tranquility in Nigeria. That we have assured Mr. President. I think we have cleared that. Has been cleared. I think it was just a misconception. They actually have seen those things and they wanted to clear them away from that area, and that's what was done. We have investigated thoroughly. The Chief of Army Staff is here. We have investigated thoroughly, and there is nothing like such. No member of the armed forces will fall into doing that, and it's very. I think we've said that clearly, that the military is going to step in when it is out of band, and we can see that for people, subversive elements to push individuals to carry Russian flags in Nigeria, Nigerian sovereignty, for you to see.
All right, well, that was the voice of Christopher Musa, who was letting us know exactly what exactly is going on in the country. The Chief of Defense Staff yesterday talked about the fact that it is a treasonable offense to be carrying a Russian flag. But a lot of people have been talking about the fact that, well, if you look at the people carrying these flags, you could see that not a lot of them are educated. They may not understand the implications of it. They may just have been told by non-state actors or one criminal element or the other to pick up a flag and use it to cause a bit of pressure on the president. Well, how exactly is that going on for them? Well, there's a lot to be seen and said about the news this morning. Still looking at this issue, the protest in Kaduna State, it was said that an APC, an armored personnel vehicle, was taken over by the protesters. Meanwhile, the mobile police force in Kaduna State said the van wasn't taken over. The police was inside the vehicle while they had the protesters mounting on top of it, and the policemen had to use tactical maneuver. Those inside the armored personnel carrier, those inside the armored personnel carrier had to use tactical maneuver to get the protesters off so that they would not damage the vehicle, and it was safely returned. Meanwhile, in Kaduna State, Governor Oseni has declared a curfew in Kaduna Metropolis and Zaria to check the excesses of these protesters. I mean, it is one thing to protest, is another thing to let this protest take on a different conversation entirely. Meanwhile, hunger protests have still taken to the streets as they continue to express their grievances. Yesterday, fresh head of people who came out to protest were seen chanting a couple of things here in Nigeria. Let's take a listen.
Government have done for us. There's nothing I've done for us. Now we get fun.
To Hansel talking about the fact that there's no hope for Nigerians under this administration. Let's take a listen.
With the speech that Mr. President gave, you can see clearly that there is no hope for the people of the Niger Delta and Nigeria at large. Because after removing fuel subsidy, I was believing that if this president is a president that has economic understanding, by now, all the 3 refineries that is owned by the federal government would have been functional to be producing petrol to crash down the high cost of petrol products.
All right,
Doctor. The refinery like Dangote refinery would have been having problem of having crude oil to produce petrol. The Azikiel refinery that is 90% completed would have been a partner by the federal government to make sure that by this point in time, Azikiel refinery in Bayelsa State would have been producing crude. The modular refineries that have completed their infrastructural by 90 to 100% would have been producing. But the insincerity of the government and lack of understanding of the plight of the people have made them not to give ears. And that is why we are saying that those that within the corridor of the NNPC and the Petroleum Ministry that have failed Mr. President after 1 year in office for these things not to come to office ought to have been fired. Right, just because the government of the day does not understand the cries of the people, that is why you can still see that those people are still in office. Fire anybody that is in your team that is not performing, especially the Petroleum Ministry. Those people need to be fired.
All right. By the way, we're live on YouTube. You should join us so you can check some of these videos. The video of the audio that we're playing to you listeners at this point, you can check them out on YouTube. It is at Voice of the People Abuja. Voice of the People Abuja is the channel, so you can join us live on YouTube. All right. Gbadebo Rhodes Viva had a lot to say about the president's speech. We'll take a listen real quick and then we reach out to Rufai.
Thank you. Well, I feel that the president had almost a month's notice before this protest happened. And this gave them enough ample time to be able to plan hunger, pervasive hunger in the land, huge unemployment, reduced income, and people just not being able to cope. So the president did not take that advantage of the notice that was given and has now given a speech almost 4 days into this where lives have been lost, properties have been damaged. And even in the speech, you find that they are also victims of their own propaganda. You talk about increasing the amount of oil production to 1.6 billion barrels when it's barely about 1.2 billion. We talk about people investing in the sector when we know for a fact that most companies are pulling out and investing in other African countries. We talk about the CNG production, which sounds good on paper, but we've not seen the possible fueling of these trucks and how it's going to actually be implemented properly across the country. And one would have hoped that he would have focused that kind of technology or idea based on moving food from the rural communities to urban centers, securing the farmlands and securing farmers to also increase food production. That was an opportunity that was missed, in my opinion. But more than anything, I experienced or I saw a very flaccid attempt at empathy, because empathy is also action that will show a broad-based cut-cutting strategy in governance. Because one of the things that's paining Nigerians is they're in the midst of so much poverty, in the midst of so much hunger, and they are reading things about a new private jet that is bought, 21 billion being budgeted for one man and his family in a house, extravagant expenses of our commonwealth. That shows that this government is not really connected or understands the travails that Nigerians are going through. So that was a very big opportunity that was missed. And they could have taken a page out of what they experienced or what they saw happen in Kenya and not wait for this to get this bad, but just look and see that, it's time to give symbolic and meaningful gestures to Nigerians to know that our leader is with us. That is what empathy is. It's not just coming and saying, I feel. You feel, now you have to act. What is the action that you are taking? How are Nigerians going to feel that their commonwealth is being managed properly? What are the timelines and numbers of jobs that will be created? And this is what will give Nigerians hope, not just another empty basket of promises. What he did, though, that was positive to an extent was also highlighting, maybe because Alhaji Atiku Abubakar highlighted this fact that ethnic baiting and bigotry has no place in modern-day Nigeria. He highlighted it, but it's also very flaccid because this is a government that has its essays and SSAs, retweeting this Lagospedia page, right? Regularly, if you're on Twitter, most people associate the Lagospedia page as a branch or an arm of APC because essays and SSCs are constantly retweeting from it. You have a media aide by Ononuga that has come out to say very bigoted statements consistently, and there's no way that your principal would not be okay with these things, and these things are done consistently. So now that it has been brought up, I expect to see people being picked up, people being questioned for this kind of instigation and trying to rip our social fabric apart. And this is not just on the APC side. On the other side, where you have people, just everybody, no matter what tribe you are from, as long as you are instigating people against each other, you should be brought in for questioning. And because there are dramatic effects that these things have. They might seem like a small tweet or whatever, but it's just like in Germany, before Hitler started going after the Jews, there was a dehumanization of them consistently, and this happens across the world. And that dehumanization is what allows for violence to happen. I mean, since 1979 or since 1999, there's no group of people that have been targeted the way non-indigenous and Igbos were in the last election. And it's truly disgusting. So it's not just about having superficial statements being made. We need to aggressively cut down bigotry in Lagos, in Nigeria as a whole.
All right. Well, that was the voice of Badigboro Rhodes Viva, who was the governorship candidate and the flag bearer for the PDP during the 2023 elections, general elections in Lagos State. Well, you have the opportunity to let me know what you think about any of our headlines this morning. 0808 312 8618 0808 312 8618. Meanwhile, before we reach out to Rufai, the reps have dissolved the committee investigating adulterated fuel imports. The House of Reps yesterday dissolved the current ad hoc joint downstream and midstream committee investigating the importation of adulterated petroleum products, the non-availability of crude oil for domestic refineries, and other critical energy security issues. A statement by the House spokesman, Rep. Akin Rotimi, said the decision was taken at the committee's inauguration penultimate Monday. During the meeting. All right, we have Mr. Rufai on the phone. Good morning.
Morning, Jesse. How are you? Bless you.
I'm fine, thank you so much. Mr. Rufai, before we jump straight into what exactly escalated yesterday from a protest into a riot, because now we're calling it a riot, let's speak a little bit about this issue of the House of Reps dissolving the current ad hoc committee for joint downstream and midstream committee investigating the importation of adulterated petroleum products. I mean, what is your take on this?
What did I tell you before yesterday? I said it's going to be another rigmarole. Didn't I tell you that? Didn't I tell you that yesterday before this happened?
Yes.
I told you. So it's going to be another rigmarole. It's going to be another manipulation. You see, the system of corruption is so entrenched in Nigeria that it will take a lot of effort to be able to get things done. So some interests are now involved. They've been able to manipulate the system. They've taken some people out. Let me tell you what it's going to be. It's going to be a power struggle between three people. Some refinery owners, the regulators, and the oil marketers. Those are the forces that are going to act on that ad hoc committee that is going to investigate what happened in the downstream sector. And in the end, it's going to be a smoke screen. They will not come out with any finality. No real truth will be known. And I've given you an example. Did I give you an example yesterday? Didn't I talk about the Sanusi situation yesterday? Didn't I? Jesse?
Yes.
So watch it play out. That's my response. I've given you a response already.
All right. We'll watch and see how that unfolds. Meanwhile, treason is being mentioned, because of Nigerians carrying on the Russian flag.
That is very abhorrent. And whoever those actors are must be brought to book. Wherever those sentiments are coming from, and those sentiments initially came from parts very close to the borders with Niger. Those sentiments are also not unconnected with the attempt to be able to, when the government was saying they were going to invade Niger because of the coup that happened. But wherever those sentiments are coming from, we totally condemn those sentiments. So those things like that, we should be very careful. Because these are places that have leaning borders. Wherever those sentiments are coming from, they must be totally fought out. The Russians have reacted. They said they've got nothing to do with it. We must also keep the investigation going.
Mr. Rufai, if you look at that particular area, you can see even could they be
used? Obviously, they're being used, and you cannot see it. And that's why a lot of us were also saying to President Tinubu, there was not a wise idea to have said, "Oh, we shut borders with Niger," because Niger and Nigeria have many closely related borders that intertwine. Geologically, you have President, a lot of Nigerians even live in Niger because of the insecurity situation. So sentiments that seep from Niger will seep in the nation of those sentiments must be brought to book. Have to arrested people. They're not studying education. Library.
All right, so we'll try to re-establish contact with Rufai just to get a clear conversation with him this morning. I mean, this issue of carrying Russian flags. All right.
Guess it. Didn't you see where they looted the library system bringing books out? What they were bringing out were chairs. They didn't take one book.
Mm.
They didn't touch books. Are circulated anyway. We don't know if they touch books anyway. So
But from the videos, yes, from the we saw
but the video, they
chairs.
said they looted the library and they were bringing out chairs. They were not bringing out books. So that's to show you the mindset. But it also speaks to the fact that we've not solved the problem of poverty over the life. To be able to cultivate on their farms. They'll be poor. For good schools, for good health care. Have you ever wondered why the British government set up the NHS after the Second World War? Because they saw their citizens with broken hands and broken legs. And the people like William Beveridge thought and said, you know what, they wrote a book called Five Giants and said we must eradicate homelessness, squalor, and poverty. At least if we can bring out these five giants, society will be a whole lot better. Apart from setting up the NHS, they set up a lot of building schemes. They started building homes made of, what's it called? Prefab material. And they set up a social welfare healthcare system that at least the poorest of the poorest will get the doctor's attention. Over the years, they've not invested in it, but it's still a system that they hold dear. So those are the things we need to look at in this country.
I mean, Mr. Rufai.
It's not just saying you disburse money and the money is not getting to the poor people.
All right. The president has asked, the federal government has asked public servants to register to be able to get the bag of rice, the 50 kg bag of rice being sold at 40,000 naira to public servants. This is in
really? They should register? So doesn't the government have their database of public servants? Don't they have a database of public servants? They have to come and register to get the bag of rice?
At this point, there's just a lot going on because if you look at it, it's not just Nigeria clamoring for good governance.
I mean, somebody will have thought that you have public servants, you have a data bank. They come, they buy the bag of rice, you check their name off in the data bank you have of them. Pure and simple.
Mr. Rufai, do we have a data bank in Nigeria? Do we have any data bank?
So they don't have data bank of public servants working in the civil service?
Is it the same data bank that has a lot of ghost workers?
And then it's their problem. So IPPIS didn't sieve out ghost workers, and that's their manipulation. So that's part of the problem we have. My sister, have a good day, Daddy, as well.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. Headlines choke this morning. There's so much going on. There's so much at stake. There's so much frustration, sadness going on in the country, and it's just left for Nigerians to let us know the way forward. Will we continue to be used as elements to perpetrate different agendas of different individuals in the country, especially the North? I mean, if you look at the protest, you would see that most of the violence were predominantly in the northern states. So you have to ask yourself, are you going to continuously allow illiteracy? That's one thing. Are you going to allow yourself to be used as an element to perpetrate violence in one way or the other? In whatever way, right? Are you going to allow yourself to keep being used as an element of violence? That's one question we need to ask ourselves at this point. We'll take a break and then we'll get on the arena with Mr. Larry. Tomorrow we'll try to get a security expert to let us understand exactly what this issue of treason, what it entails and how it's going to be handled. But we'll watch and see how the story unfolds today, and then we get a security expert on the phone or to come into the studio tomorrow to let us know what exactly people have to say about this. Meanwhile, you can join the conversation. It's at 0808 312 8618. That is the number to call. 0808 312 8618 is the number to call to be a part of our conversation this morning. We're also live on YouTube at Voice of the People Abuja. Voice of the People Abuja. We're live right there. You can join us and let us know what you think about any of our headlines this morning. I'll take a break, pay some bills. I'll be back in a jiffy. Stay tuned.
Thank you for the faith you have in our president, and I guarantee you, President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu will not fail. Nigeria, the hope that we've been looking for and hoping for is here. The president that we've all wanted is here. I guarantee you.
Tiagas. Tiagas, akoy. Soldier, police.
Good morning to you. Welcome. This is the Voice of the People, the arena on the Voice of the People 96.1 FM. And my name is Gesiere Agua. Today on the show, we'll be taking a look at the protest as it has escalated into what is now being called treason. Well, we have the hunger protest, military talks tough as pro-Russia rallies spread across Nigeria. This is day 6. In fact, let's just look at it from day 5, right? So this is day 5 since the protest started, and all the service chiefs, including the Vice President Kashim Shettima, the NSA Nuhu Ribadu, and Kayode Egbetokun, the IGP, attended the meeting held yesterday by the president. In fact, FEC was cancelled just so the president could speak with the service chiefs. Operatives of the Nigerian police force have arrested no fewer than 30 end bad governance protesters for waving the Russian flags in Kano, Kaduna, Katsina and Bauchi states. The force spokesperson, Muyiwa Dejobi, and he said 873 other protesters have been arrested by the police, including a tailor identified as Ahmed Bello, who was arrested with a large number of flags in Kano State. This comes as the president directed security agencies to crack down on those flying the Russian flags in the country. General Christopher Musa, the Chief of Defense Staff, said this on Monday while briefing the State House correspondents after the NSC, the National Security Council meeting held in Abuja. All the service chiefs, including the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, Nuhu Ribadu, Kayode Egbetokun, were at the meeting, and the service chiefs briefed the president on the current security situation in the country. He added that the briefing was necessitated by the ongoing nationwide protests, which resulted into violence in some states. Initially, when the protest started, it was a peaceful protest. Before we knew it, we've realized that there are individuals willing to take advantage of it to cause mayhem. Well, there was a conversation had with the CDS. I'll play that audio in just a bit, just so we can get a better sense of what exactly has happened so far. But we have Mr. Larry on the phone. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Good morning. It's getting more and more scary, but yeah, we're here. We're here. No leave, no transfer.
All right, Mr. Larry. Somehow this protest has taken a different turn from people who were hungry. Let's call it hangry. So it's a mix of hunger and anger. So people who were hungry are now called treasonous, traitors to the country. I don't know what your take is on this, but those flying foreign flags, what exactly is your take on it? How exactly does it even play in the protest? Could it be as a result of hunger? Could it be as a result of lack of education? What is your take?
I think this issue of flying flag is being exaggerated. I'll be honest with you. I think it's being exaggerated. While it may have dangerous undertones, because if you remember what happened in Mali and the shift in allegiance and the support that the people believe that the Malian military junta got from Russia and all that. It may have its security undertones, but I think that it is becoming distracting talking about illiterates and demonstrators carrying flags as being more important than addressing the fundamental issues. And, talking about the issue of waving flags and treason and all of that, yeah, we need to also be more careful about chasing shadows than solving the problem. Treason is when a person either attacks the head of state or levies war against the state or actively plans to overthrow the government illegally or engages in other acts of disloyalty against the state. I think we need to look at this issue of flag flying demonstrators within the context of what has happened recently in the West African sub-region, what is happening globally, and the fact that, Russia has been seen as a country that supports the underdogs from the Soviet days. Of course, it has always been the Cold War between the West and the East. And then, before Putin started creating that scenario, then it was basically the West, led by America, against the Soviet bloc, led by USSR. And that recently, when of course, also what happened in Niger next door, the issue of even the American military base was asked to be shut down, and then you notice this gravitation towards Russia and all that. So I think some people, we have a nation that has clear processes for change of power. Of course, sometimes those processes don't work when people are extremely aggrieved, like what just happened in Bangladesh. There is change of power, but it didn't follow those processes, basically because the people became extremely aggrieved. And this issue of power and politics and democracy, all of these expressions basically are systems to make life more meaningful for the people. And that is why it is said all the time that power belongs to the people. I mean, when the people feel that this arrangement is not working, by whatever name you call it, you find out that the people can just decide that they don't want it again. And that's the kind of thing that happened in Bangladesh. It took the blood of 300 Bangladeshis for the prime minister to realize that the game was up, and she fled. Of course, similar things happened, I think, in Sri Lanka before, and in several other places. So I think we need to get to that point where we also juxtapose what is happening in Nigeria against the backdrop of what has happened elsewhere, and the fact that anything you are doing as a leader should be for the benefit of the people. A situation where we forget the issues that led us to this spot, and then people who should be providing real solutions are focusing on arresting tellers and talking about showing flags and waving flags, being treasonable felons. For me, leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. Why we should discourage our citizens from hoisting the flags of other, and they didn't hoist the flag; they were waving it. Why we should discourage such and actually expect loyalty to Nigeria. We should also remind Nigeria that as a nation, it owes a duty to take care of its citizens. When citizens become extremely aggrieved, then you have situations like waving the flag of another nation. And waving the flag in itself is not clearly a crime. That is to forget this issue of distracting people and making noise about flag or no flag. What we need to focus on is to ask questions like, why should Nigerians begin to think about demonstration in the first place and be protesting for days? And then for those who do not have work to do, why do they not have work to do in a country that is as blessed as Nigeria is? Which is not the case in other nations, and which wasn't the case even in Nigeria. NSAS, there was no official notice. SAP riot, no official notice. Even all the other day, I mean, it's amazing that after being given the notice, rather than genuinely think of how to deflate the tension, they were busy just politicizing the whole matter. Now that the protest started and it's not abating, what they should be thinking about is how do we solve the problem? And solving the problem shouldn't arresting people, whether they're carrying flag or not, and detaining them. No, I think they should also look for other fundamental solutions. People had this impression that Buhari was insensitive, but when NSAS happened, Buhari government made concessions to fiasco. But today, we're listening to a national broadcast that didn't even address the core issues as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I'm not the only person who said, of course, there are sycophants who are saying that, inspiring, wonderful speech. But the truth is that, in my opinion, the critical issues have not been addressed. Nobody told us when the refineries will start working. Nobody told us anything that will affect the anger of Nigerians. Yeah, so things that should assuage the hopelessness of Nigerians. So I think we need to stop focusing on whether which flag is more important than which flag, and begin to talk about how to solve the problems of those Nigerians who are suddenly finding foreign flags more attractive. If your flag is suddenly not attractive to some citizens of your country, you shouldn't just be worried about the implications. You should also ask yourself, how did I get to that point? You are these people who discovered that there's another flag. I mean, it's your duty to make your country attractive, to make your citizens loyal to your country. And how you do that is a factor of how well you treat your citizens. I mean, Ghanaians on a good day carry flags. I mean, if you go to Accra, Nigeria City, you see flags in their taxis. You see people wearing "I love Ghana" without any ceremony going on. They just love Ghana. So, how many Nigerians have you seen before putting Nigerian flag on their taxis or wearing a T-shirt proclaiming "I love Nigeria"? Our leaders don't understand that they should actually make Nigerians proud of being Nigerians by the way they conduct themselves. We have become a laughing stock in the world. I mean, people are always discussing this Nigeria. On one hand, they say Nigerians are resourceful, Nigerians are brilliant. We do exploits across the world. And they ask questions, so why is your country so discombobulated, so disorganized? Nothing works in that country. It's embarrassing that on one hand, everywhere you go, Nigerians are doing great things in other nations, but the nation is not functioning. So it says something about the quality of people we have as leaders, the so-called political elite. There's something about the way they behave that makes us look extremely bad. And that is why people are now beginning to think that other flags look better than our own. I think they shouldn't just look at whether the flag is appropriate or not. They should also ask, how did the people even discover these other flags? What is happening? Why are they shifting attention to other flags? These are legitimate questions they should be asking themselves if they are truly leaders. But they are doing the blame game, they're shifting blames. Some subversive, you know that word, subversive elements. We like throwing words around that they are infiltrating the protests and they are doing this. No, that's not the issue now. The issue now is how did we get here? And what are we going to do? Fundamental steps we must take to stop this protest. And how do we stop it? I'm not talking of arresting people. I'm talking of what are we going to do differently as leaders? They have not addressed the waste of money in the governance. They have not addressed the critical issues Nigerians are complaining about. We have a refinery that's supposed to be technically completed for months, and we have not seen a drop of petroleum product coming out of the refinery. They didn't address any of those issues. Even surprising. Actually shocking that after talking to us, you didn't talk to any of the issues we are worried about. It's actually hoodwinking us, and you know we have gone far beyond that stage. We are not sleeping. We are aware of what is happening. The fact that we are not in control of the state COFA doesn't mean that we are stupid or that we are not aware of what is happening.
All right, we're live on YouTube. It is at Voice of the People Abuja. We're live on YouTube at Voice of the People Abuja. Join us live right there. You can also call in to the studio 0808 312 8618. 0808 312 8618 is the number to call to lend your voice. We are Voice of the People after all. Lend your voice into the conversation this morning, right? 0808 312 8618. On YouTube, we are Voice of the People Abuja. You can also click on that subscribe button. It's very important that you do so. Click on the subscribe button and let us know that you are watching as well. You can leave a comment there or two. All right. So, Mr. Larry, it's really interesting to me that you have brought on this perspective of diversionary tactics in terms of the fact that now we are diverting focus from the protest in itself to people carrying flags, right? You said carrying flags in itself isn't a treasonable offense, but looking at the situation, looking at how heated the situation might be, could it be a situation where people are maybe carrying it symbolically? Because I heard a conversation from someone talking about communism, right? And how we could, them carrying that flag could mean that they're calling for communism here in Nigeria, for an economic status where there is no, in terms of
I said carrying a flag in itself, but if a person is carrying a flag and calling for change of government without following the due process of change, I said that even calling for the change of government is a more serious crime than it's a crime in itself. That is calling for and actively working towards a change of government is a crime. So when a person is carrying a flag and calling for a violent change of government, for instance, and making suggestions that makes it look as if you're trying to engage a foreign power to help you change government, then that's where you begin to talk about treason.
Okay.
You understand what I say? So, but I said carrying a flag in itself, if I decide to go to my office now and I carry a American flag and put it on my dashboard, that is not an offense. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
But if I carry a flag and I begin to say that we can't, we don't want the person is making, it suggests that the person is calling for Wagner Group maybe to come and help overthrow a government. I'm just trying to help you see why probably the sentiments are high. Because when you talk about Russian flag, you're not just talking about Russian flag, you're talking about also the activities that Russia has been associated with lately in terms of forays into Africa. You know what happened recently in Mali, you know what happened not too long ago in Niger and all of that. And of course, the Wagner Group in Ukraine. And so at the end of the day, there's this coloration. Oh, yes, they are treasonable because they are calling for violent change and suggest. But my problem is that everybody is talking about flag now rather than talk about the state. We're talking about those statements. But I think we shouldn't allow the fact that government should tell us why the refineries are not working and when they will work. They should tell us why they are wasting so much money on themselves while asking citizens to be patient. So why are they not patient? Why should we be patient if they are not? They should tell us why they are not looking at making it possible for us to go to the farm and cultivate food. Rather, they do it with the dash us rice occasionally.
Is rice. Just give them rice and everything is fine.
I'm suspecting the person may not be far from the truth because anytime people make noise, you share rice to them. And somehow, for a lot of people, that is the tension. Have you seen people actually die because they are trying to get a share of rice? Have you seen pictures of people you thought were not only decent, but it's not free? And I was telling you, I know you like rice, but I asked you sometimes, who did this for us? Must we eat rice? This rice, I don't blame the person. No. We have to do something to cast out the spirit of rice. I mean, how can just one food item be causing so much trouble that even government will use it, politicians will use it to distract us from voting right? Then when we don't like what you're doing, they'll just give you rice. Who made rice the king in this country? I don't know how it works, but I know that we need to get to that point where they should allow us, even if rice is our favorite food, our staple, they should allow us to cultivate rice. I don't want a situation where they continue to allow people to become dependent on handouts. They don't know that it's dangerous, really. That is, you are converting the population gradually to a dependent population that you give handouts. After some time, people will lose their capacity to go to the farm, to go to their shops. They will have a share the rice, share the money mentality. Already it is here in Nigeria. A lot of businessmen are closing their businesses to use the money to go and buy tickets so that they will become political appointees or they will get elected into offices. The general idea is put your money together, make a lot of money. So even when you lose the election, you don't lose the political appointment. So people are beginning to see that sharing the money is a faster way to prosper in Nigeria than working hard, than having brilliant business ideas. And unfortunately, the way our country is wired, even when you have the brilliant business ideas, the country will happen to that your idea and make it extremely difficult for you to prosper. And it's not good. I think this is what the government should be addressing. Unfortunately and incidentally, more foundations and individuals in Nigeria appear to be more than government. Not appear, they are doing more than government in building entrepreneurs. You have Tinubu Foundation, you have Dangote Foundation, you have Nigerians who are doing more than government in real terms to promote enterprise and entrepreneurship. While government is sharing arms and gifts to make people dependent and impoverished so that they will continue to control their mind. That is not governance, no, that is not leadership. We don't want that. We want the opportunity to sustain ourselves. That is called empowerment. We want to be able to take control of our lives. We need to be able to go to the farm or shop, get our own resources, and decide how we expend the resources. I don't want people to tell me when I'll get rice, how I'll get the rice. So I should go and write my name on a list to get rice. I should register to get rice. These things are humiliating. I want to go and register and going to buy rice. This is okay, so when we finish the 40,000 naira rice, what happens? Well, to finish in a few days.
All right. Mr. Larry, let's listen to... Hello, good morning.
This is Engi calling from Area 1. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, please. These times are hard times, and I happened to find somebody's phone. I don't know if it's right to report that here. I found someone's phone on Sunday while I was coming back from church. I saw a man revising to pick his phone, so I told him that phone doesn't belong to him, that we should take it to the police station. So I took it to Area 1 police station belonging to Mr. Victor Onyebula.
Okay. You can send the details to my WhatsApp so I can announce it, all right? Okay. Send the details and then how to reach you to my WhatsApp.
Okay.
Yes.
The number?
The WhatsApp is the number you're calling on.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Okay. 0808-312-8618 is our WhatsApp number. It's also the number to call to be a part of our conversation this morning. Mr. Victor Onyegbolam, if you lost your phone and you're listening, or you know a Victor Onyegbolam who lost his phone, go with your ID card. Valid ID card to pick up your phone from this particular lady, but I'll let you know more details as she sends that particular information to me. 0808-312-8618 is the number to call to be a part of our conversation. We're also live on YouTube at Voice of the People Abuja. Go ahead and join us, hit that subscribe button as well, and let us know that you are watching. Meanwhile, a treasonable offense is what the CDS called protesters flying the Russian flag. Let's take a listen.
Such that we wanted to come and update Mr. President about the situation on ground. We know since the riots have started,
All right, we have a call here. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Yes, this is the Voice of the People.
Okay, good morning. I was listening to your guest this morning.
All right, what's your name?
My name is Nonso, calling you from Gariki 11.
Nonso from Gariki. All right, go ahead.
Yes, your guest has spoken very well. God bless you. My guess is that you see this country, we are really giving up. Honestly. Because the way the country is going, when the citizens are not happy, they are being frustrated in our country. Okay, let's just talk about how the government is frustrating businesses in Nigeria. I'm a businessman. I'm a chef, actually. I own him. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, I do baking. I do baking. Now, the bag of that we used to buy for 50,000 naira during Buhari time, and we actually complain that it's expensive. Now that same bag of flour now we buy for 54,000 naira. Sugar is about 97,000 naira. Now by the time you buy things, you buy this, somebody cannot pay this. You end up having nothing at the end of the month. So when government is supposed to be talking about how to make life easy for the citizens, you're already talking about how to arrest people on carrying flags and everything. It's annoying. You know, sharing bags of rice. This is not what we want. Teach us how to fish. Show us the way to fish, not giving us fish. That is what we want in Nigeria. So I'm totally not happy at all with even what the president was saying on Sunday. Everything was just annoying. Honestly, the president, President Tinubu, should do better. He should address us. Make this life easier for us. Return back subsidy to where you met it before. I think that is the only thing that the common man benefit in Nigeria. Please, you should listen to the market, you should listen to our cry and make life easier for us. We are begging you, President Tinubu, make life easier for us so that we can remember it for good. Please. Thank you very much for your contribution.
All right. Thank you so much for your call this morning. Mr. Larry.
I'm here.
What would you like to say in response to that?
The line was a little
murky.
garbled, but I said that very strong. He said to make life easy for us. For me, that captures the essence of what Nigerians are asking for. Make life easy for Nigerians, not in the sense of dashing them rice, but in the sense of allowing them to use their skills and capacities to build their own future. That is what Nigerians are asking for. Give me the enabling environment to prosper. Allow me to make contributions to the growth of the nation and my own personal life. That is what Nigerians are asking for. They're not really interested in handouts as much as they're interested in the enabling environment to prosper. Give us a level playing ground. Let the son of the rich and the son of the poor compete for jobs in NNPC and Central Bank and LNG. Let them also compete for jobs in the Nigerian police, civil defense, Nigerian army on an even playing ground. Let economic opportunities be open to everybody as enshrined in the chapter 2 of the Constitution. These are the things Nigerians are asking for. They being paid the finest salaries in Nigeria, while people who are going to work are getting pittance. It doesn't make sense. While refiners that are not working, we are paying the people who are ostensibly working their salaries. And then we have people who are working and we're owing them salaries. It doesn't add up. Nigerians are just asking for the basics, for the most basic things a person can ask for. And they're not getting it. That's why they're angry. That's why I say, Mr. President, make life easy for us.
All right, so I have two voice notes to play. One is the CDS, and then the other is Shade Tinubu, who talked about the fact that the president is well equipped to handle the situation in the country. Let's listen.
Mr. President, about the situation on ground. We know since the riots have started, the role all the security agencies are playing. You can see all of us together. We had about 2 hours meeting with Mr. President. We explained to him in details the current situation on ground since the riots have started. And what we realized is that, yes, initially people said it was a peaceful riot, but we have warned against it because we realized that there are individuals that are willing to take advantage of it to cause mayhem, and we can see clearly what has happened since it has commenced. Criminals have taken over, a lot of looting, a lot of stealing and all sorts happening. And besides that, we're also aware that I'm seeing, all of us have seen it, where some foreign flags have been flown within the sovereignty of Nigeria, and that is totally unacceptable. We are warning in clear terms, and the president has also said we should convey this, that we will not accept anybody, any individual flying any foreign flag in Nigeria. That is treasonable offense, and it will be viewed and treated as such. So nobody should allow himself to be used by any individual. Also the issue of coups. Nigeria is a sovereign nation, Nigeria is a democratic nation. All security agencies are here to defend democracy and make sure that democracy continues to strive. we will not accept anyone pushing or taking any action, seemingly or for whatever reason, to want to push for any change of government. Democracy is what we stand for. Democracy is what we continue to defend. For those of them flying flags, if you see a lot of them are kids being pushed to do that. We're following up with those ones that are sponsoring them, those that are pushing them, because you know the flags were also made. We identified those areas and we're going to take serious action against that. The president is clear on his instructions on for us not to accept anyone that wants to disrupt the peace and tranquility of Nigeria. And we are all standing here together to show Nigerians that we're working closely, we're working together in synergy to ensure that there's peace and tranquility in Nigeria. That we have assured Mr. President. I think we have cleared that. It has been cleared. I think it was just a misconception. They actually have seen those things and they wanted to clear them away from that area, and that's what was done. We have investigated thoroughly. The Chief of Army Staff is here. We have investigated thoroughly, and there is nothing like such. No member of the armed forces will fall into doing that, and it's very clear. Yeah, I think we've said that clearly, that the military is going to step in when it is out of band. And we can see that for people, subversive elements, to push individuals to carry Russian flags in Nigeria, Nigerian sovereignty, that is crossing the line, and we will not accept that. And those ones who have done that will go in for the books, and they're going to be prosecuted. I'm sure you have seen. You have seen them on TV. So the TV will show, because that's enough for you to see.
All right. Over 800 individuals have been arrested, and we know that the penalty for treason is death. Mr. Larry, this was a protest now turned riot, and now it is a situation of hungry people now turn traitors. So I don't know how else to look at this situation.
I think we shouldn't be talking about a treasonable felony, talking about subversive elements. I think we should be talking about getting the people off the streets. We should be talking about responding to the demands and requests of Nigerian people, dousing their anger, so that people will just understand that life can be better. But then words will not solve the problem. What we are getting across the board, what we are just getting from the different political and government leaders, what we are just getting words of, for encouragement, sometimes of chastisement, and then we're getting platitudes and then promises. And we've been getting promises for decades, not just for 1 year of Tinubu administration. Nigerians are tired of promises from politicians because the promises largely do not work. So what can make the difference is for the government to be specific about the things they will do differently. I said earlier that when NSAS shook Nigeria, the then president, who was considered as being unresponsive to the yearnings of the people, made concessions. So we hereby scrap SARS. There are no SARS again. We do this. We do. I mean, it was surprising and interesting at the same time. And then, different requests were being put up, and they were responding per time. And here we have a person who supposedly has democratic credentials, and now people are making demands that are not too difficult to manage. And we are not getting any response. We are getting either chastisement or platitudes. We are getting just this kind of motivational speaking. I mean, it's not good. If you're saying that we are funding subsidy of other nations' use of petroleum products, why don't you also tell us when you are going to fix our refineries? That may be true. I don't personally believe that we should subsidize petroleum products and then they will be smuggled and then people will be using it elsewhere at our expense. But you should also tell us two things at least. When are we going to have refineries work so that the real economies will come into play and the prices will come down? That's number one. Number two is, must Nigerians be able to smuggle petroleum products? When president said that we feed neighboring countries petroleum products, it's also an indictment on us as a people that we don't have borders that are properly policed or manned, that we have corrupt government officials, especially when you talk about customs and excise. So when we also make these excuses, we forget that it is somebody's duty to see that these things are not smuggled, and we are Nigerians. We know that these things, I mean, the volume that they discuss as being smuggled cannot be smuggled in the real sense of the word smuggle. In other words, when you are smuggling something, you're hiding it. You cannot hide a tanker. You cannot hide a fleet of cars carrying petroleum products to the neighboring country. So it means that somebody agreed with the smuggler to move those products for a fee. So we are acknowledging that we are a terribly or fantastically corrupt nation when we make those statements. You know, it's like you have a family and you decide that because you have a baker in this family, your children will eat bread at a lower price. And then when you give your children bread, they will carry the bread and go to give to the children of your neighbors. I know now it's your duty to see that when you give your children bread, they eat the bread, that they don't go and give it to the children of your neighbors. So I think we need to get leaders who can take responsibility for making this country work. And we don't have them. And the problem we have, I'll be honest with you, I don't think we should continue talking about politics and political leaders. The problem we have is that our concept of leadership has become so compromised. That is, we are not really just talking about, me personally, I'm not talking about just political leaders. Everywhere you look at leadership in Nigeria, there is compromise. Whether you're talking of the universities, faith-based organizations, civil society, everywhere you turn, leadership is now about what I get from the position. And that is what people carry to political offices. That is why whether a person is president, governor, minister, commissioner, the head of board, everybody is just hustling for what to get into his pocket. They want to be plugged into the system. And this is usually loots the resources of Nigeria, rapes Nigeria, leaving her totally hopeless. So we need to get leaders. I've said it before and I'll keep saying it. When we talk about all of these suggestions, good suggestions about what can be done, I'm also insisting that we must get leaders who in the first place have the mental disposition, have the value systems that will enable these ideas to even be embedded in their mind before even deploying them. Because most of our political leaders and other leaders are just people who see positions as opportunity for personal gain. And that is why we're here.
All right.
Because if we don't address this thing now, see, that is the real fundamental problem. The issue that we have come to accept leadership as an opportunity to enrich ourselves and our cronies at the expense of the people we are leading. But leaders are supposed to make sacrifice for the people they are leading. That is how it works elsewhere, but not in Nigeria. If you don't like the color of your jet, you buy another one. If you don't like the color of your house, you build another one. If you don't like the way your car rides, you buy another one. And you don't buy a normal car, so buy 165 million worth of performance. And then you look at how you, I mean, when you shout out to that, and you don't buy your own rice. Let's call a spade a spade. Our president has a budget for feeding. He doesn't pay for rice. Our governors don't pay for rice. Our ministers don't pay for rice. They don't pay for petrol. They don't pay for anything. And they get salaries, the same salaries we get, more actually, many times, multiple of the salary of a normal Nigerian. So you are earning fantastic allowances. You don't pay for anything. You don't pay for food. You don't pay for petrol. You don't pay for housing. You don't pay for anything. Then the impoverished Nigerians are the people you are making to pay 800 naira, 1,000 naira per liter for petrol.
All right.
And you say they can't even be angry after all of these indignities that they're suffering. I mean, it's sad that we have lost our conscience, we have lost our empathy, we have lost our capacity to provide ordinary leadership. We have even lost the meaning of leadership.
All right, Mr. Larry.
And that is why we're having this problem.
Mr. Larry, in wrapping up, let's listen to what Tinubu said so we can get on to the sports bit real quick.
I want to say thank you for the faith you have in our president. And I guarantee you, President Asiwaju Bola Tinubu will not fail. Nigeria, the hope that we've been looking for and hoping for is here. The president that we've all wanted is here. I guarantee you. I want to thank you for...
All right. He says he guarantees us that the hope that Nigerians have been looking for is here. Mr. Larry, in wrapping up.
The only thing I can say in one sentence is that renewed hope has become deferred hope. And hope deferred maketh the heart sick.
All right.
Renewed hope has become deferred hope. And the good book told me that hope deferred maketh the heart sick. And when the heart sick, it's sick. You have this kind of situation we have in Nigeria today. And I hope that Tinubu and Mr. President and all of us are listening to the voice of the people. The sooner they listen and act on what they are hearing, the better for everybody.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Larry. Have yourself a wonderful day.
And you too, I hope one can have a wonderful day in the circumstances we have found ourselves, but we'll try. Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to the sports bit. The sports bishop is here, Nonso Arinzechi. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Why are you laughing?
I was listening to the conversation and it's, the point where we Nigerians have gotten to, is deplorable. But like you said, we just have to keep trying to have a good day when we all know what's facing us every day of the week isn't friendly at all.
All right, let's look at something friendly, at least more something that will put a little bit of smile on our faces.
Yeah.
We saw Ophelia gunning for the 200 meters glory yesterday, and Oborududu, even though she wasn't able to get the finals,
Yeah.
she's gunning for the bronze.
Medal, yeah.
So let's see how all that plays out. What's your take on it, though?
For favor Ophelia, what a race she had yesterday. Kudos have to go to her, and after her disappointment of not participating at the 100 meters, she managed to get through the semi-finals. Now she's through the final. She got it with a time of 22.05 seconds, finishing second in her heat, just behind Jillian Alfred with 21.98 seconds. She's one of the favorites to win either bronze or silver from the race. Wait and see how things pan out today. For Borodudu, it was it looked like what it was going to be, her getting to the finals again, and this time maybe not finishing with a silver medal like she did last time out in Tokyo, but winning the gold medal. But it wasn't to be, as she was beaten by a certain lady all the way. I'm talking about Marim Gramazazova, losing 3-1 after she beat Kemba Lorik of a French opponent 6-2 in the quarterfinal. But unfortunately, she was beaten, and it means that she will have to face a yet to be decided opponent in the bronze medal match that will take place later today as well. Also, good news for Nigeria as well in the 400 meters. A certain Ezekiel Nathaniel with a time of 48.32 seconds, finished second in heat 4 and has qualified for the semi-finals of the 400 meters hurdles. So good one for him. And the Tigress coach, talking about Reni Wakama, has been coming out to say that she's not under any pressure as she faces the world number 1, the best team in the tournament. Talking about the quarterfinals of the Afro basketball that will come up later on Wednesday. She says no pressure. She's beating the world number 3, world number 5. What should she be scared of? Absolutely nothing.
Okay, let's not get a bit cocky. I think we should just focus on strengthening the Tigress so that when they face that hurdle, when they face that particular challenge, they will become successful.
Absolutely. But before we leave the Olympics, these are what we should be expecting today. Talking about in the Olympics, we have a certain Ase Brume and Ruth Osoro. They'll be participating in the long jump. That's for 10:15 a.m. today in the long jump. While Prestina Ochonogo will be for 10:15 a.m. The 400 meters women repecharge. Hit 1 was got Ella Ojonovo Wovo. That's for 10:20 a.m. And the javelin, that's for 10:50 a.m. Nnamdi Chinecherem will be participating in that one for Nigeria in the hit 1 of the 200 meters male repecharge. We have Udo Uzo Wozurike for 11:30 a.m. And Favour Philly who hit the track for the finals of the 200 meters. Hope is in her hands. That one is for 8:40 p.m. later tonight. Yomide Bello and Beauty Otudo will be participating for Nigeria in the canoe sprint 500 meters. That's for 10 a.m. today. And in wrestling, Treasonable Dudu in the 608 kg freestyle we're participating in the bronze medal match. That game is for 6:46 p.m. later today.
All right, so what else do you have for us in sports? I hear Osimhen is not necessarily looking at Chelsea.
Yeah, he said he doesn't want the move. He feels he's comfortable with the move to Paris Saint-Germain. We'll come to that in a moment, but let's give you all the latest happenings in Nigeria before we head to the transfer market. Right. We hear that the Nigerian Women Football League, NWFL, on Tuesday have announced the Cross River State as the host of the MWFL Championship for the 2023-2024 season. The upcoming championship, the league second division, will be held from August the 31st to September the 8th, 2024 in Calabar, Cross River State. Building on the successes of the 2024 MWFL season, we hear that the Premiership Super 6 final hosted by Bielsa will Edo State emerge champions. That was far back in June. According to the Chief Operating Officer of the NWFL, Murbe Shabi, she has confirmed the draws and the pre-match meetings will take place after the club arrive in Cross River on Thursday, August the 29th. So, the NWFL Championship, we now know where it's going to be taking place in Cross River, Calabar State. Still talking about the NWFL, we had Nigeria continue preparing for the CAF Women's Champions League. The zonal qualifiers will take place in Cote d'Ivoire, and a certain lady, a team from Ghana, Harakas ladies, are coming out to say that's putting a stern warning at Nigeria's Edo Queens are so representative in that competition. Good one, we hear a certain Amonike Emmanuel, former Nigerian international, has been unveiled as the new head coach of, guess what, Heartland of Owerri. The governor of the state, Governor Uzodinma Hope, did the unveiling yesterday, and we hear that they could be buying off the slot of Beyond Limits in the Nigerian Premier Football League. Yet to be confirmed. When this does, we'll let you know about that. New managers as well for Ekiti United. We hear that they've got a new coach. For the head coach of the Ekiti United, you have head coach of Ekiti Queens. You have Candy Jacob. Wife for Ekiti United has Akin Olowokere. He'll be the new coach of the Ekiti teams there far back in that one. And one man speaking ahead of his CAF Champions League game, talking about no other than Fidelis Ilechukwu. He's saying that, come on, no worries, no pressure. Despite the 1-0 draw against FC Cologne in the friendly game at the Enugu Stadium, talking about the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium, he says no pressure as the team it's just pre-season, according to him, that the team will turn out good when the season begins in proper. Also, good news we hear. Fortunately, it was a good day for Nigerian footballers across the world. We'll come to that very soon. Ademola Lookman was trashed 4-1 in a friendly game, though he scored. But 4-1 it was trashed in the friendly game. For Ademola Lookman, not the best start, as they were embarrassed for lack of words in that friendly game against Parma. Okay, that's for Ademola Lookman. But let's go to the Olympics football, where for Africa it was a bad time for Nigeria. For Africa, yes, Nigeria did not even qualify, but the two African teams that got to the semifinals were beating the semifinal as Spain defeated Morocco, coming from a goal down to win by 2-1. John Mee and of course Ferran Torres both scoring for Spain in that encounter, 2-1. And then for Egypt, they had to wait to extra time after goals from Jean Meteta and of course Michael Olise. Both players playing for Crystal Palace was enough as France beat Egypt 3-1 after extra time. Down to the transfer news, like I said, we'll be coming there very shortly. West Ham have officially signed Frokuk, the German striker who scored 2 goals in Europe despite not starting a single game, for £27 million. We hear that deal is done and dusted. He's 31 years of age, and it's hopefully that he will bring a good one for the team. He signed a 4-year deal. Benfica officially has confirmed the signing the long transfer that looks like was never going to end. It has finally ended. £60 million with £10 million add-ons for Benfica midfielder, talking about João Neves. The deal worth for the 19-year-old. Here, he has signed a 5-year contract with the French champions. Talking about Paris Saint-Germain. Simons will return to RB Leipzig on loan after a deal has been agreed with Paris Saint-Germain to keep him on loan for yet another season after he was there last season doing so well, scoring a total of 10 goals. Yes, 10 goals, 15 assists in 43 games for RB Leipzig last season. Gallagher has agreed finally to move to Spain. We hear Chelsea have agreed to £3 million deal, and he has finally decided to move. We hear he'll be traveling to Spain to have his medical, cross the T's and dot the I's, so he can become officially a player at Atletico Madrid. Mbappe, according to, will not change what Jude Bellingham is to Real Madrid, according to Carlo Ancelotti. Don Carlo, he says it will not change. He will play in attacking formation. Reports were that Mbappe's coming into the team will shift him, playing a more deeper role, but Ancelotti is having none of it. He says it won't change Bellingham's role despite having a fantastic season in that one. And like we talk about Victor Osimhen, still dilly-dallying. Clubs are not willing to pay that £130 million fee. We hear Chelsea are trying to use Romelu Lukaku as bait to get an offer for Victor Osimhen bait. But we heard that Victor Osimhen do not want anything to do with the Chelsea deal. Wait and see whether Arsenal will still lurk in. But right now, we hear that Paris Saint-Germain are favourites, but the asking price seems to be the issue. This is how long I can take you on Sport Beats for today, but let's hope and pray that these gods of sports will smile on us today, and Nigeria may be just winning the first.
Specifically, the gods of Olympic sports, because it seems to be a different ball game altogether.
Absolutely, the favour of Phillies is one everybody's eyes will be on, and not forgetting Blessing Obododudu in her Bruce for that game later today.
All right, so watch and see how everything pans out. Don't forget, sports is coming your way at 5 p.m. today, so make sure you keep it locked for every single detail, every single gist, every single gossip there is in sports. You'll be having it here at 5 p.m. My name is Gesere.
And I am Nonso, your sport bishop.
All right, coming up next at 9 a.m. rather is